All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Feeling Energy Workshop. Thank you to those of us that are join us live, and also to those of you that are watching the replay. So excited that you're here. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing, and so I can be on camera. All right. Yes. Nice to see all of you, and thank you so much for being here and joining me as we do our closing event for our launch week this week, as we formally became the HRart Center. And so one of the main modalities that we will be offering at the HRart Center is this fusion of healing Qigong, this Chinese medicine, this type of energy work, and also discussing and talking about the fact that energy is all around us. We're made up of energy. Every interaction is of energy. And so to not talk about energy when we're talking about people in the workplace and as HR practitioners, it doesn't seem to make sense. And if we're not talking about our energy and the energy that's at play in the organizations, it doesn't make sense. And so today I hope to give you a taste of that. My main intention is to give you a couple exercises so that you can experience the sensations of energy, and also give you a chance to experience the sensations of energy in an outside environment, and how to feel it, to sense it, and begin to develop your sensitivity to it so that you can use it as a tool set. So part of this is going to be, well, most of it is going to be exercises. So I wanted tonight to be very experiential and also be nourishing and restorative in nature. And so we'll be doing a short kind of Qigong practice and then going into our three exercises that I had planned to teach you how to feel energy. And then we'll close out with some regulatory work, which is just putting the body in a state of harmony and peace before we close. Okay? So you can do this seated. You can also do this standing. So wherever you're comfortable, please feel free to engage in that fashion. I will obviously be standing, and if you are able to, please join me. And let's go ahead and stand in a stance that's with our feet about shoulder width apart. Feet are straight ahead. And let's begin by putting our hands on our hips, and let's just start to open up the body. And if you're seated, you can actually just go into a forward fold. So if you're seated in a chair, just kind of hang over to allow that lower back to start to open up. So if I was in the chair, I would kind of just be hanging like a rag doll. But if I'm standing, I'm going to slowly rotate my hips, paying attention to all the sensations. And one last rotation before we go a little bit in the other direction. And if you're engaging in that forward fold because you're seated, you can go ahead and start rolling up one vertebrae at a time back to a seated position. And just notice how your body feels, taking stock and inventory. No judgment, just an increased awareness. A lot of what we are doing tonight is just increasing awareness. You experience energy on a regular basis. It's just that we don't talk about it. And often we are so distracted that we don't notice that we're feeling. Energy is made up of these very subtle vibrations, and especially when we're looking to experience them in our environment, we have to be able to be aware of when those vibrations shift to give us hints of experiencing that energy. Let's go ahead and stop there. Okay. Now let's stretch out the neck just a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and take our hands in front of us, form a circle and curl under and extend in both directions. And then I'm going to take my left ear to left shoulder. And then let's go over right ear to right shoulder. Raise the head up, drop the arms down. Now let's take our arms, circle back, and extend forward to the sides. This time we'll begin by taking our right ear to the right shoulder. And then let's take the left ear to the left shoulder. And bring the head up and then drop the arms down. Good. All right. So the last thing that we want to do before I start teaching you some of these exercises to feel energy is I want to clear the body, make sure that there is nothing in there that does not serve us, that's ready to be released, and let's give it an opportunity to be released. And so to do this, we're going to do a very simple exercise called tossing out the sick chi that involves just imagining that our fingers are rakes and we're combing through our energy, pulling out what does not serve us, and then exhaling and releasing it back into the earth to recycle it. So it will look like this. I'm going to come down, start at my feet, inhaling in, up, gathering, and exhaling out, throwing that energy into the earth to recycle it, okay? Really imagining that you have these rakes, so almost like 3 or 4 inch long energetic nails that are combing through the body, pulling and gathering, and then shake those hands out just to release it all into the earth. Okay, so let's do this all together, and you obviously can still do this seated as well. Starting down, inhaling up, and release. Again. Let's do one more. Am I live? Let's do one more because it just feels so good. Good. Excellent. All right. So this brings us to our first exercise on feeling energy. So there's a technique called tapping that we use a lot that allows us to physically manipulate the body and really stir up some of the energy meridians, which are the energetic pathways within the body. These are the pathways that acupuncturists use when they are treating, where they place the needles. There are points along these meridians and pathways. Or if you've gotten acupressure, you've gotten a massage, there's usually a good chance that they are using those pathways as well, whether they're aware of it or not. You may have noticed that some of these pathways are tender to the touch. And so if you ever look them up, it's quite fascinating to see that you can start to see the line of, if it's not a muscle group or an organ or a particular body part that's sore, that it actually is this energetic meridian and pathway. So to do this, we're going to start really simple by rubbing our fingernails together. So we're just going to bring our hands together, and I just want you to rub the fingernails briskly back and forth. In fact, I was talking to somebody on a Zoom call, and she does this all the time. She also happened to live in China for a while, so I always wonder if she picked it up there somewhere. So just rubbing those fingernails together. Snail beds briskly back and forth. And go ahead and stop. Release your hands and notice the sensations in your hands. Notice any tingling or lightness, maybe magnetic sensations. That is all energy. This is what energy feels like. Sit with it and notice those sensations. Now we're going to see if we can wake up the arms and the legs and those meridians and see what sensations we feel there using this tapping technique. So even though it's called tapping, it's more so like knocking. And when we're knocking, we're not beating ourselves up, but we are doing it firm. So it should be a pressure, but a comfortable pressure. So if something is causing pain, then you want to back off a little bit. All right, move the mic. So we're going to start with the outer arm, and we're just going to knock down the outside of the arm and then up the inside of the arm. Make sure we hit the insides of the wrists, especially if you're someone who uses the computer a lot. There could be lots of stagnations there. And if you don't like the knocking, you can also do slapping. So it looks like this. And you can go a little faster. Back to knocking. Try to keep your arm relaxed. One more time around. And then release that arm. Let it just hang there. And notice how that feels in comparison to the other arm that you have not knocked, slapped, or tapped on yet. Notice the differences. Notice any sensations, tingling, just tuning yourself, being aware of the energy as it comes alive in your arm. Let's go to the other side so we can even it out. On the outside, up the in. One more time. Shake it out. And notice what's happening in that arm. Notice both arms. And today, remember, we're just getting familiar with that sensation of what that energy feels like. This is what energy feels like to you. So one of the really interesting things about sensing and developing a sensitivity, especially to something like energy, is that it comes alive to each of us differently. So each of us in our sensing ability will feel different things. That's why some of us feel heat, some of us feel tingling, some of us feel like a magnetic energy. And I'm sure there's other energy sensations that I'm not describing, but you're sensing them right now, and they're still 100% what energy is and how you're supposed to be sensing it. So we're going to move into the legs. The legs are interesting because for most of us, we don't have a lot of great energy circulating through our eggs, through our legs. And so a lot of the times we will tap and knock on them and people won't feel what they feel in the arms. And that is 100% normal. So we're still going to try it and see what happens. Before we do, I just want you to take a moment and notice your legs. Notice the difference between your legs, how they feel now versus what your arms feel like. I'm just logging that because we're going to do the legs at the same time. I'm going to start here at the pelvic bone, just knocking, and then I'm going to go down the outside of the legs and up the inside of the legs. So I'm going to knock down the outside. And up in, down the outside, up in. A few more times. And then shake them out. And notice how your legs feel now compared to before they started. Notice every little sensation. And that is tapping. So we can tap on all kinds of things. When I have brain fog, I'll tap on my head. There's lots of acupressure and acupuncture points on the head. So I'll tap on the head to release what feels like stagnant energy. So I will knock on my head. So knocking, tapping, slapping is a physical way to manipulate the body and to release a meridian, but it's also a really cool way to feel energy because you have that sudden release and burst that allows you to experience it if you're paying attention. Good. Okay. So the second exercise is something called opening the flow. This exercise is actually a Lee Holden exercise, which if you love Qigong, I love Lee Holden's workouts. He is just creates these beautiful flows. You can check out a lot of free workouts on YouTube. He also still releases DVDs and also has an amazing online system, so you can check him out. But he has an exercise called opening the flow, which is basically where you go inward and you sense energy close to what we felt like when we put our fingernails together. That sensation, that tingling sensation, we want to see if we can experience it without doing this, but we're looking for that same sensation. So to do this, we're going to have our feet shoulder width apart, or if you're seated, just make sure they're flat on the ground so that you're rooted. And when we're dealing with energy, our arms, any limb should be relaxed. We don't want to tense. We don't want to, think about it as a hose. Your energy meridians are like a hose and they need to be relaxed at any given time. Whenever we tighten something, so if I lock my arms, I'm almost creating kinks in the hoses, and so the energy can't flow. So if I want to feel the energy, I want to make sure that I truly release and I let go. So our arms are going to be really relaxed, and we're going to allow them to flow upward and then come back down. Rise up and come back down. Inhale in through the nose and out through the nose. Moving the arms slowly and steadily, and noticing any sensations on the tips of your fingers, any warmth in the palms. And then taking your attention to that energy, and magnifying it so that you're paying less attention to the room that you're in and more attention to every sensation that's on the tips of your fingers and your palms. Allow the hands to feel light as a feather. They're just naturally rising up on their own. And they're sensing every bit of dense energy as they're combing back down. One more time. Good. And just take a moment, notice how your body feels. All right, so that's number 2, which is opening the flow. So increasing your ability to really feel that energy. It's almost a combination of a meditation, visualization, but it can increase your sensitivities to feeling that energy. So the tapping teaches you what it should feel like, and then the opening the flow exercise magnifies your sensitivity to it. So the next piece is how do you jump from sensing your own energy to sensing others' energy? Because for the most part, when we're experiencing, we're coming in contact with other people's energy all the time. We just don't know it. And a lot of the times our energies are mixing and mingling. And so then we are kind of really truly kind of this mixture, and we're not really sure what's ours, what's theirs, until that energy exits and leaves. And sometimes we carry it with us. So that purging exercise that we did when we were combing through the body, sometimes we're pulling out things that we've gathered from other places. So for us to sense what is outside of us, we have to be able to basically put a barrier around so that I know where my energy is versus where their energy is, and I can separate the two. And so this takes a little bit of practice, and it also depends on your sensitivity levels. So we're going to do something called pulling from the energy of the yin and yang, which I really love. And we're going to do it in a kind of animated fashion to envision this bubble. And the whole concept is it pulls energy from the earth and from the sun to help strengthen your energy bubble so that you have this protective barrier. And then once you have that and you can kind of hang out in your little bubble, then you can kind of see when other people's energies are coming into contact. So what's really nice is once you have an actual bubble barrier, you get to observe what's happening around you. That includes those energies because you're not being influenced one way or another by them coming in contact with yours. You're also able to touch and feel certain energies and experience them, but have an increased awareness of the fact that those are not yours. And this is when that magic of being a practitioner when working with people becomes really powerful, when you can hang out in that bubble and do it. Now, I have clients who can spend years working on this bubble. It is a commitment and it is a skill set to make sure that you have this barrier and that you put it up. So we're going to do the exercise, and then I'll tell you how to practice it as you go about your day afterwards. But once again, when we practice it, it won't be through this animated fashion as we're moving our arms around and things like that. This is more so just to help instill the visual in your mind of what you're doing. And if you really enjoy it when you're practicing and working on establishing your barriers, you can use the arm motions for that too, okay? So once again, you can do this seated as well. You wanna make sure you are gonna be spinning your arms around. So you wanna make sure that you have room around you. And so we're gonna reach our right hand up towards the sky, and we're gonna put our left hand towards the earth. So sun, sky, yang energy connected with the right side of the body, which is the active yang side of the body. Left is the yin side of the body, connected to the earth. And we want to feel connected to both energy sources, asking to allow these powerful nature sources of energy to serve us. And we're going to bring them down, spiraling them into the body, and then rotating around to gather and bring more in. While we're doing this, we're creating this bubble around us. We feel get stronger as we bring these energies in. This bubble that reaches out to arm's length. Also noticing any sensations, once again, on those fingertips and those palms of the hand. Knowing our intention is increasing our awareness of our sensations and how we sense energy. Let's go one more time around. And then we'll pause in the original hand positions. And just for a sense of balance, we need to do the other direction just a little bit. You can't have one side too yang, too yin. So let's spiral it through the body. Now reaching my left to the sky, my right to the earth, and feel connected to both sources. And we're going to spiral through the body, now going in the opposite direction. Imagining once again, we're using these energetic sources to strengthen this barrier, this protective bubble that is encompassing us. One more time. And allow the hands to connect back. Spiral through the body, returning the hands to their initial position so that right goes back to the yang, sun, sky. And that left goes back to the yin, the earth. Feeling rooted. Bringing the hands down, putting them right in front of the lower abdomen. And I want you to just take an inhale in. And on the exhale, I want you to imagine that you're just fluffing out this barrier that's growing beyond you. So inhale in, push out. Inhale in. Exhale, push out. Inhale in. Making that barrier bigger. Exhale out. In, out. And now just sit in your little energetic bubble, feeling the denseness of the energy that is encompassing you and protecting you and holding you. So the trick here is to begin using this to sense energy in organizations or in outside places. Is you want to master creating that energetic bubble around yourself, making it really dense and solid, that you know that this is your energy, that you're just in this little energetic cocoon. And once you do that, when you go out into the world, before you enter a space where you know you're going to encounter other energies. So one of the best places to practice this is if you go to a public space, especially now because of the fact that we went through quarantine and we're still in this transition phase where we're not used to being around a lot of people. You're already heightened in your sensitivity to noticing those other energies because you went for so long not being around mass amounts of strange energy. So before you go out to a public space, I always tell people in the car, set up that energetic bubble. Whatever you have to do, you can do that by just breathing and fluffing it out. And when you do that, you really want to make sure that you take time to notice how it feels. How does it feel to be in your little energetic cocoon? Because then once you step out and you go into the world, you're going to know when something is not your own. And that's the whole trick here. That's when you get to feel other people's energy, is only when you know yours really well, or at least well enough that you can tell when it's not yours coming near or in contact or asking to kind of plug into your energetic bubble. So it takes practice, and sometimes you can't maintain the energetic bubble when you're out walking around, and that's okay, but keep practicing, and no one has to know. So you fluff up your bubble, then you go into the grocery store and you just notice. You notice how you perceive the world. You notice when something feels like it's not yours, and see if you can keep that separation and keep fine-tuning that skill set, okay? So that's number 3, which is noticing around you by creating that energetic bubble. So now what I want to do after we've learned these 3 techniques is to teach you a regulating technique, which is all about instilling harmony. So as we moved energy around, we want to make sure that it all settles really nicely. And then there is a regulating technique that people love. It is called the golden ball. So I'm going to teach that to you. And we'll use that to end our time together. Yeah. So for golden ball, we're going to bring our hands out to about the waist. We're going to imagine that we have this golden energy river that we're standing in waist high. So we're in this yellow, golden, glittery river of good energy. And my hands, my fingertips are just running along the top of that water. And then out of that energy, I'm going to gather a ball. You should feel that ball between your hands, pulling it out of the river, holding it. And then I want you to imagine that you feel it getting bigger. And then you're going to push it and make it smaller. You're going to bring it in so you feel it touch the chest, push it out, and take it back down to the river. Let's do that again. So pull that energy ball out of the river. Let's make it bigger. Make it smaller. Bring it in so it touches the chest. Push it out. And take it back down. Again, up. Bigger. Smaller. Into the chest. Push it out. Take it down. Always feeling that ball in the palms of your hand. And we'll do one more. Hands in front of the lower abdomen, which is where we have our reservoir of energy, letting it settle. And to officially close, we're going to do 3 pulling down the heavens. We'll demonstrate the first one. Hands are coming along the side of the body with palms facing the earth. At chest height, they're going to flip to the sky, touching the heavens and the sky, and then combing through to settle our energy. So let's now do that 3 times together. Hands along the sides, facing the earth, flip to the sky, and settle that energy down. Again. Last time. And just hold the hands there in front of the lower abdomen, letting it settle. And this concludes what I had for you. And really my main intention was just to give you a taste of experiencing energy and what it can feel like in your body, give you the tools, or at least one exercise, so that you can feel energy outside your body. And to be honest, this is just the beginning of what we're going to do at the HRart Center. There's so much to come. I truly believe that energy and learning how to work with energy in our workplaces, but also restoring and healing it within ourselves, is what we need most right now. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for supporting the HRart Center. And I look forward to working with you in the future. Have a beautiful night.